All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a fascinating document called Cosmic Inceptions, and it asks a pretty huge question. What if the reality you experience every day isn't quite what you think it is? It challenges us to look at the universe not just as some vast, empty space we're floating in, but as something that has its own language. And get this, a language we might actually be able to learn.
So, right off the bat, here's the big question that drives this whole thing. It asks us to imagine the universe as a space construct. You know, something that was designed with rules, maybe a language, or even a code. It's a simple idea, but man, is it powerful. What if reality isn't just something that happens to us, but something we can actually learn to read?
Okay, so before we can even think about decoding the universe, the document says, hang on, first, we've got to look at the reality we've all been taught. It calls this the conditioned reality. I kind of like its other name for it, the dream story. Basically, it's like we're handed a script for how life is supposed to go, and a lot of us just follow it, without even realizing we're doing it.
And what does that dream story usually look like? Well, according to this, it's often a pretty simple checklist. You know the one: get the job, buy the car, get the house, start the family. These are the goals we're often conditioned to chase, almost like we're on autopilot. But here's the real kicker. Is this your story, or is it just the one you were handed?
Okay, so this puts us at a crossroads, a really fundamental choice. On one side, you have the world of facts, the tangible reality we're told is real, the one we're supposed to just accept. But on the other side, well, that's where we connect with our imagination. The source says this is where we can perceive and maybe even create our own reality. And according to this document, that's the first and maybe the most important decision any of us can make. All right, so that naturally leads us to the biggest question there is, right? Where did all this come from? The source has a really cool way of looking at it. It frames it like a cosmic equation, where it tries plugging in different variables to solve for the universe. First up, the religious view. In our equation, x plus nothing equals the universe. The x here is God, a single divine creator. Simple enough? Okay, next we have the multiverse theory. In this version, the universe itself is the X, suggesting ours is just one of who knows how many others out there, all existing at the same time. Then there's the idea of higher beings. For X, you could plug in, say, an advanced alien civilization that maybe designed or even seeded our reality. And from the lens of conventional science, well, X becomes a set of physical laws and events. Think the Big Bang, cosmic inflation, all the observable, measurable stuff that brought the universe into existence. The spiritual viewpoint, it suggests X is just pure energy, a kind of formless, universal consciousness that then manifested into everything we can see and touch. And finally, we land on this idea that the universe is based on a code. Here, X is geometry, a fundamental mathematical blueprint for everything. And that idea is something we're going to dig into right now. So, no matter which of those origin stories resonates with you, the document's big idea is that the universe is trying to communicate with us. It suggests there are these three distinct languages, and if we can learn to understand them, we can start to see the hidden design of reality itself. Okay, language number one is spirituality. Now, the source defines this as consciousness. And this isn't about religion, not at all. It's about learning to perceive that invisible, subtle energy that seems to animate and balance everything, from a tiny seed growing into a tree to the entire cosmos. And this is where it gets really, really cool. The source takes our basic senses and kind of reframes them as metaphysical tools. So, feeling, that becomes clairsentience or clear feeling. Seeing becomes clairvoyance, which it says is the ability to see beyond just right now, to see across all of time. Even our thoughts are framed as a form of telepathy, a direct line to a whole field of ideas. The whole point is these senses aren't just for navigating the physical world. They're our built-in gear for reading that subtle, spiritual energy. Language number two is geometry. And the core idea here is that the universe isn't just a chaotic mess. It has a blueprint. This sacred geometry is made of these fundamental patterns that provide the structure for everything, from the tiniest atom to the biggest galaxy. And hey, this isn't just some abstract idea. The source points out that we see these patterns literally everywhere.
You see it in the golden ratio, in flowers and shells, in the incredible, perfect sand art that Japanese pufferfish create, even in ancient symbols like the Tree of Life. And get this, it even connects to cutting-edge physics, talking about how scientists are using complex geometric shapes in higher dimensions to figure out how particles interact. It's wild.
All right, our third and final language is one we're all pretty familiar with: science, mathematics and physics. These are the languages we've developed to describe the mechanics of our reality, how energy and matter dance together according to laws we can observe and test. And within science, the document points to one concept from quantum physics that is just mind-bending: wave-particle duality. It's this bizarre but totally proven idea that the fundamental stuff of the universe is both a wave, which is like pure energy, and a particle, which is physical matter, at the exact same time. It's the perfect bridge, really. It shows how that unseen world of energy and the physical world of matter are just two sides of the very same coin. Okay, let's bring all three of these languages, spirituality, geometry, and science, together, because they all lead to what the source says is the most powerful idea of all. The final, crucial piece of this entire cosmic puzzle is you, the observer.
So this right here, this is the core thesis. The document claims that the real universe isn't some static thing out there that we're just living in. Instead, it is the collectiveness of the overall consciousness of intelligent perception. Whoa, let that sink in. In other words, our awareness, our consciousness, is what actually makes the universe real.
The document breaks down the logic like this. It's a simple, three-step process. First, you have an intelligence that can perceive. Second, that intelligence uses a language, like the three we just talked about, to make sense of reality. And in doing that, in using that language, it becomes the third step, the designer of its own reality. This all builds up to the famous observer effect from quantum physics, but it takes it to the absolute limit. We are not just passive spectators sitting in a theater watching a movie that was already made. No way. According to this source, our consciousness, the very act of us looking at something, is what takes all the infinite possibilities and collapses them into the one single tangible reality we experience. We're not just in the universe, we are actively creating it. And that brings us right back to where we started, but with a whole new perspective. If the languages of the cosmos are our tools, and our own consciousness is the author, well, then the universe isn't just a place we live. It's a story that we are writing, right now in this very moment. So the only question left, the really big one, is the one you see here. What story are you choosing to tell?